So good morning to everybody. We are for second time doing an investor presentation at HCW, which is helping us to introduce the company in the United States. The investor presentation is dated January 2020, so it's the latest presentation the company is doing. And the objective is to be also the first presentation, formal presentation we do after our listing on the NASDAQ, which as you can see there, the listing code of the company is WISeKey, and we are also listed on the Swiss Stock Exchange since 2016. So this is a disclaimer, just to inform about the disclaiming part on both Swiss and US code. And now we're going to talk about WISeKey. So first of all, I'll introduce myself. My name is Carlos Moreira. I am the CEO and founder of WISeKey. WISeKey is a company that started in Switzerland as a startup 21 years ago, and now has evolved as one of the major players in the intersection of cybersecurity in three areas, which is cybersecurity at the software level, it is microchips, microprocessors at the IoT level, and now we are expanding into other areas such as artificial intelligence and blockchain that complements the platform effect that WISeKey is very proud to have. So we are based in Geneva headquarters. We have offices around the world now, in China, in the United States, in Saudi Arabia, in Europe as well, in other cities of Europe. And we have a research center in France with 100 people located in France. We have about 3,500 customers, and we will see later in the presentation the breakdown on the customer classifications. We are really an IoT cybersecurity pioneer, maybe the first company that combine software and hardware into an integrated solution, which otherwise will be very difficult to obtain because you will have to go to the individual vendors. We benefit of a very strong ecosystem as our cryptographic root key, which is the ground zero on the internet, is being downloaded over 3.6 billion times in browsers, in OS, mobile phones, operating system. And we are now also a strong penetration on the IoT, as we have already 1 billion active devices and they are already secure with the Volta IC microchip. The company has been in acquisition mode in the last 2 years as we acquire a semiconductor company in France, and we also acquire a cybersecurity company in Europe, which was later restructured. And this is reflected on our progression since we did the IPO. As you see, the company being a small startup, very small revenue. At that time, it was very hard and difficult to make IoT revenue because it was a nascent industry. There was not a lot of investment on IoT. This has grown gradually up to 2018, where we announced a $58 million revenue. And then subsequently has been a drop, which is only due to the fact that we sold the SSL business of WISeKey to DigiServe for 45 million cash last year. And that revenue obviously is carved out of the 24 million of this year. The company in 2019 has announced in a pre-audited figures as a company which is already profitable, and our CFO later will give you a detail on that, Peter Ward. So the investment highlights. I always say that for a investment fund and is concerned about cybersecurity and they want to invest in cybersecurity, a company like WISeKey is a great bet because we are still a mid-cap company under the $250 million valuation, where basically an investment in cybersecurity could mean that we could further improve all the areas which are reflected in that chart. So cybersecurity on IoT is a growing market, as I said before. Even big, very large company, they are not yet making a lot of money on the IoT cybersecurity, as only now objects are getting connected to the internet. The projection is something like 1 trillion objects are going to be connected to the internet by the year 2030. We are about 1 to 2 billion objects connected now, but this is increasingly substantially as everything will connect to the internet. WISeKey benefit of a unique chip-to-cloud platform, which will be explained later in detail during the product presentation. We have core technology that has horizontal adoption, means that we can verticalize the technology in sectors which are totally different, like the automobile, like the luxury sector, like the pharmaceutical sector, on where WISeKey has amazing references and case and winning. very large install base. The install base is important because once you are inside the operating system with your cryptographic root key, and then you establish any other software, whether it's an app or a desktop software, the trust chain is activated. It means that the OS recognizes the device, and this is a uniqueness of WISeKey. This is only company like RSA, Entrust, VeriSign, Symantec. Then they have the same capability of being able to store the cryptographic root key at the device level. We are a driver of digital transformation. I just came from Davos. WISeKey is a major player on the Tech Accord, which is 150 companies around the world. Then they're working together to integrate the cybersecurity landscape to basically bring this very fraction cybersecurity landscape into an integrated platform where not only WISeKey technology will be integrated, but also WISeKey technology will be integrated in other companies' technologies that they are benefiting from the unique trust model that WISeKey has as a Swiss company. Cybersecurity is becoming geopolitical, means that one solution doesn't fit all, so you have to adapt that solution in several markets. And the geopolitical aspect is a driver of revenue and sales. And WISeKey's unique position as we can satisfy the regulatory environment, which is becoming very demanding in what companies can do or cannot do if they want to enter a specific market. Solid financial position, well positioned for growth. Our CFO will give you indications later. The company is also with a strong cash component now that allows us to continue thinking in terms of acquisition of strategic investments. Market trends, the IoT race. As I said before, everything needs to be digitalized. Everything needs to be connected. In the next 5 years' time, if you are not connected, you will be rejected by the platform. That means your house, your car, your office, your digital environment. As more things we are connecting, the state of insecurity is getting bigger because it's just enough that one of those objects that you are connecting to the internet are not protected, that will compromise the entire perimeter, whether that is your house, your office, or your organization or government. Under such circumstances, we are basically, security takes a back seat, means that you would like to be sure that whatever you do on security, it has total priority and not a secondary aspect. In the last 20 years of my career, and even before when I was chief security officer of the UN, we realized that people were not paying enough attention and making enough investment in cybersecurity as they thought cybersecurity was not relevant. This is changing. Another major issue that we solve and is becoming a critical issue is the fake product, illicit trade. This is a $4.2 trillion economy already, very well organized economy in the dark side of the internet, which is basically financing all the illegal actions that you could imagine. And this is something that needs to be reduced. And WISeKey is now a member of a very strong coalition of companies like PMI, Novartis, and others, and they are fighting against illicit trade. We just actually launched in Geneva a very large project on combining our technology with blockchain ledgers so we can decentralize the information outside the silos, the databases, and makes very difficult to detect whether the company is or not registering its product. So this is an area where we believe we're going to be growing very fast. So just to give you a size of the ecosystem, worldwide IoT security spending. So as I said before, this was very modest. When we did our first listing in 2016, this is exponentially growing. As more computers are getting connected, more devices are getting connected, and more cybersecurity is required. The fact that blockchain and artificial intelligence has emerged as two powerful drivers in the last 2 years, this is also speeding up the adoption, as now we can, through AI and artificial intelligence, predict behavior on products and project potential dangers that those products could generate if they are not properly secure. So the other drivers that they are going to expand the use of IoT is 5G, as the 5th generation of mobile connections are actually expanding in smart cities. In Switzerland now, for instance, 5G is becoming a norm, and this is reducing the cost of connecting devices to the internet and making that cost very affordable, which was one of the barriers for adoption in the past. Digital growth, data exploitation, those devices are sending real-time data, authenticated data to clouds, and AI algorithm requires authenticated data, otherwise their functionality will be compromised. If an AI algorithm process wrong data or fake data, the consequences obviously will be that whatever analysis they will do will be fake as well. So this is a growing market. WISeKey has established partnerships on this with SAP, Microsoft, IBM, Watson, and Oracle recently. As all of them, they are very interested to work with us in being able to capture the data that those sensors that we produce and secure are sending to the cloud. And then is the edge intelligence, collect data that can be associated and is close to the consumers. In the future, the cybersecurity IoT sector is moving from B2B to B2C. So consumers with their mobile phones, they will have the possibility to control their entire digital ecosystem in a total authenticated and secure manner without the need to depend on big companies or vendors than they would that for them. So that acceleration is obviously a major revenue asset for the company and a major growth as we move forward. The problem on this device security landscape is that it's totally fractional. This is very typical of what happened with the internet in the year 2000. You had tons of different websites with different level of security, and slowly all that got organized. We are in the same situation now, 20 years later, on where the fraction internet needs to be organized in platforms. So it's like an airport. An airport, if you walk into an airport, once you do your security clearance and you are inside the airport, everything is trusted, everything is secure, because you have the right process to get into, and you have the right validation, authentication, checkouts on you and your luggage and everything you own in order to get into the airport. So the same thing is happening on the internet. Platforms like WISeKey acts like digital airports that needs to screen all your data, your identity, your mobile communications before you get into that secure area. But once you are in that secure area, you can obviously do a lot of new things because the trust and the security will be provided by the platform. Otherwise, you will be confronted to those problems like disconnected vendors, costly, complicated designs, then where you will have to patch your security with multiple solutions, and security holes that will be every day and every second in your corporation, compromising your trust and integrity vis-a-vis your customers. So the WISeKey solution is as I said before, is an integrated platform. We see, so this is the digital airport on where secure hardware, certified software, and managed service, they combine functionalities and interoperability in a platform effect. The difference between a platform and silos is that for customers, they don't have to worry to go vendor by vendor and do themselves. They just plug into WISeKey, connect into WISeKey, and by doing that, WISeKey offer them an integrated service that otherwise will be very expensive to obtain if you have to go vendor by vendor organizing individual agreements. Modular flexibility and trusted security are the consequences of that integration. The internet is going in any case in that direction. The Internet 2, as we call it now, it's actually a platform internet. Industry 4 in Germany is industrial platforms where Daimler, which is one of the clients of WISeKey, is not anymore a car company, but it's a software platform selling cars. So that concept of transferring the analog, traditional legacy models to a platform model is an industry trend, and WISeKey, due to its organization, is benefiting from that movement because obviously there's a new way of capturing clients. So I will give the floor now to James Livingston, or President of Sales in the United States and Americas, and he's going to walk you through the products and service component.
All right, thanks. Carlos gave you a great introduction into the company background, the purpose, and why we're here, the market trends. I want to give you a little vision into our products and services, so the pillars that we build our company around and that we create revenue from. So On our products and services, we really strive to deliver a complete suite of digital identity products, which are intentionally designed to remove the complexities of connected security. And I can't overstate that. The complexity of the digital security landscape right now is just absolutely crazy. And our customers, the bulk of what they're asking for from us is a resolution, something that solves the complexity. They know they need security. They're starting to be willing to pay for it, but they just really can't take on the complexity of the designs. So what we do is we deliver complete products and suites and platforms that allow them to easily and simply implement secure, connected products. So we have 4 basic products that work into our portfolios: digital brand protection, IoT cybersecurity, digital identity mobile solutions, and ethical artificial intelligence. I'll talk about each one of these as we get into the material. Starting off with digital brand protection. So giving products a strong digital identity as early in the supply chain as possible is what is going to defend against counterfeit and illicit trade. So things like holograms and QR codes, they allow for the product to be identified through the supply chain so that you can identify a real product and a fake product. We've been using this type of technology for a long time. Just like so many other things, there's a digital transformation that's happening. So we're moving from static stickers and QR codes to active chips. And that's what we provide. We provide this active connectivity, active authentication. So defending against counterfeits, we're looking over there at $4.2 trillion as a global GDP loss to fake products. We're also looking at the personal impact of 5.4 million legitimate jobs at risk. So we're not just doing this to create revenue streams for our company. We're doing this for a global issue for where illicit trade and counterfeit products are really eating away at jobs and overall revenues. There's the anti-counterfeiting aspect of it. There's also the consumer engagement side of it. So very, very popular now is the term KYC, know your customer. Technology like active tags like we provide turn static products into communication channels for the brands. So when a consumer can feel good about buying a jersey because it's been authenticated with our product, they start a relationship with the brand, whoever it is, Nike, Adidas, New Balance. They get that direct consumer relationship started. They start to learn customer intelligence, geolocation of where their products are selling. They build a community with their consumers. So it's the authentication to defend against counterfeiting, but it's also the consumer engagement side that's very exciting about this digital transformation with chips. There's lots of different examples of this coming up in the market right now. You take a look at Mattel has added NFC chips to their Hot Wheel cars. So you say, well, I can see why you would add a authentication chip to an expensive $20,000 watch, but why would you do it for a $7 car? It's not even really about the authentication here. It's about the consumer engagement. It's about meeting the consumers where they're at. So instead of losing kids because they're playing video games, give them a digital environment that interacts with the analog toy that they're used to. So you find new ways of expanding your brand and keeping your brand relevant. Nike's doing it through connected jerseys. Hublot, through a relationship that we have with them, use NFC to secure their watches and also create a VIP program for their clients. So you can register, you can have a catalog of your watches, you can work on returns, repairs, all of those types of things are tracked because each one of these objects has a digital identity. We do it in a very simplified, easy to use, one-stop shop platform. So we take the authenticity and the consumer engagement, combine it into an easy platform for customers to adopt. They embed an NFC tag into their product, the consumer connects with that product, and now you've got a direct-to-consumer communication channel that's open, up and running, and is an exciting new way to connect with the consumers. That's the digital brand protection really quickly. Now I'm going to roll into IoT. So IoT is a huge umbrella, which digital brand protection actually falls under that umbrella. But when we talk about IoT here, we're talking about more of this connected device, so the smart city concepts, the smart homes, all of those types of things. We're in this paradigm shift. So security and cybersecurity, as we knew it when it came up, was there were users running on desktops and applications inside of a company. And what you did to protect them was you put a firewall around them. So that firewall was the defensive perimeter that protected your users and your applications inside of your company. That was perimeter-based security. With IoT, we can't put a perimeter around all of these devices. Carlos talked about it earlier. Your smart home's connected to your smart car. Your smart car talks to your smart blender. Where's the perimeter for that? The perimeter is digital identities. So each individual object having the ability to authenticate itself to the network gives each object the ability to defend itself. So the user's in the center, and all of the objects that give them all of the convenience and all of the connectivity and the social media, you can protect each one of those objects through identity-defined security. So that's where we come in with the chips and with the certificates and with the managed services all running on these objects to give you that identity-defined security. Chip to cloud, you hear a lot of this. This is the concept right here. You have a device that needs to connect to something, you have some software that needs to run on it or the application, and then you go up to the cloud, right? So we work in all three areas by adding secure elements, secure chips at the object device level, the certified software and certificates that run on top of that silicon, and then the managed services that go up into the cloud and protect the device onboarding and life cycle and end of life, and all of these decisions that are being made in the cloud can be made securely and confidently because that is a trusted device rather than just a connected device. So that's the area of the IoT space. Obviously, in all of these, you can start to break down into different market verticals and different applications for each of them. But the platform remains the same. Also, as you move into this connected world, you have to also think about the majority of this connected world is happening through mobile devices. It's happening through that phone that you might be looking at right now while watching this, right? So we also work inside of the mobile space with WISeID, which is a suite of mobile applications. So you can provide personal digital identities. You can assign digital identities to your objects. You can secure inside of your mobile device with encryption. You can personal editions are available on this as well as corporate editions. So when you're using it for across the whole corporation, you can use a secure connected mobile application that is connected into this secured environment. Customer verticals. So this is just a real quick example. You look into the networking and consumer space where we're protecting switches and routers by giving them a digital identity that cannot be duplicated. You look at the luxury brands, we're working with Hublot, Remy Martin, Bulgari, again, for VIP access and authentication of the watches. You think about perfume, you think about all the applications there in the luxury space. You look at connected cars, we're working there with Daimler. You look into energy and smart cities, so Johnson Controls, Tyco, companies like that, where smart meters, smart homes, and then you even work into the medical device vertical. There are many more. This just gives you kind of a good example of how wide and broad our products can fit. And that's pretty much a real quick overview of our products and services. So you get a feel for what we're doing, and then you can dig into it more by downloading the presentation or getting deeper as you want.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Peter Ward, the CFO of WISeKey. I'd just like to give you some information on the financials. We are currently finalizing our 2019 annual results. They will be finished by the end of the first quarter, so I can say a little bit about them, but mainly, as Carlos mentioned in his presentation, we're talking a little bit about the transition that we've had in 19 and also the acquisitions and the disposals in 2017 and 2018. As you can see from the chart, we grew mainly through an acquisition in 2017. from the 11 million in 2016 up to 43.1 in 2017. That was through the acquisition of Inside Secure, the chip business, and also the later acquisition of Quo Vadis in 2017. In 2018, we continued that process, and I had negotiations to sell part of that business from the Quo Vadis team to DigiCert, which actually happened at the beginning of 2019. And you can see the difference between the red, which is the continuing operations, and the revenue from discontinued operations, which essentially is the SSL business, which we sold to DigiCert. If we were to include that business in 2019, we would be close to the 53.7 from 2018. We are in geographically spread. We have most of our businesses is in Europe, about 30% of our business is in the US, and there's a small amount of business coming out of Asia Pacific. But as I say, 2017, 2018 were years of transition, 2019 especially, as there was a lot of management activity inside of the disposal of, the sale of the SSL business to DigiCert, and the rebuild of the organization focused on the semiconductors and the IoT business. And that is it.
So, WISeKey management team. I am acting as a chairman and chief executive of the company. I am also the founder. Peter Ward, acting as a chief financial officer, and a board of director, mainly based in Europe, that has been working with management in bringing the company to where we are now, including the two listing, both on the Swiss Stock Exchange and on the NASDAQ. The company also has an advisory board constituted by experts on each of the verticals that we are focusing, in particularly on blockchain, with people like Don Tascott, writer of the Blockchain Revolution bestseller, that they are helping the company to bring this platform effect to verticals that will further reinforce the platform. Global expansion, so WISeKey started in Europe, obviously in Switzerland. We also have a very strong team in France, in the southern part of France. And the company has been expanding through both organical growth, but also joint ventures in Saudi Arabia, in China. In Saudi Arabia, we signed a joint venture with the Jufali Group. This joint venture is actually going to be launched next week, as I'm going to be on the Global Cybersecurity Summit organized in Saudi Arabia. And this Saudi Arabia joint venture is further verticalizing the trust model of WISeKey in Saudi Arabia, as the country is investing $200 billion in cybersecurity in order to fulfill the vision of this Vision 2030, where Saudi Arabia is going to become one of the largest IoT countries in the world. China, obviously, a very strong penetration in China. We just signed a $30 million investment with a Chinese and Hong Kongese group that will be used to fund the operations of the WISeKey joint venture in China, with the major objective to provide our microchips and cybersecurity to the China ecosystem. China is going to be connecting something like 20 cities, smart cities, to the internet, a huge demand of semiconductors, and the neutral model of WISeKey plays very well as we are a Swiss company. As a consequence, we can create interoperability through a platform between the different countries that normally do not work together very well. So WISeKey ensures that interoperability. Obviously, the United States, a major market for us. We already started operations here in Silicon Valley. We're going to expand into other states in the country. As in the same way, I think the United States will benefit dearly from WISeKey neutrality in cybersecurity, in identity management, which is a major technology area for us, and obviously IoT. Solid foundation. The company is based in 21 years history, so we have been following the cybersecurity from its infancy. When we started in 1999, cybersecurity was not a major concern for anybody. There was not even budget. There was not even chief security officers working in companies. The board of the company didn't have any cybersecurity focused consciousness. This has changed. Cybersecurity is now top priority for CEOs and board of directors in major corporations. And this integrated platform effect that WISE brings, the airport concept on the internet, allows companies now to have one entry point through one company to a very complicated technology, which is cybersecurity, as is totally fractioned, as I mentioned before. The market penetration, again, being a Swiss company, we believe that will allow us to enter into different countries and markets where maybe other companies will have a difficulty to do so. WISeKey being on the NASDAQ, we are the second only ever in the history of Switzerland company on the NASDAQ after Logitech, so this is a major accomplishment for us, and this is something that obviously is viewed in a very positive way in the Swiss system. Growth avenue, we are in the right place and the right time with the right technology and the right vision. And this is position us in a way where we believe both organically and through acquisition we can complement this platform effect. And I think one major driver, especially here in the United States, is the digital brand protection, which has been covered already in this presentation by James. Digital brand protection is a very strong pipeline for the company, as we have a $4.2 trillion problem to solve, and WISeKey has unique technology and unique experiences in being a major player in that sector. So I would like just to thank you for your attention. WISeKey is, as I say, listed on the NASDAQ, WKEY. The company is going to go during this year in a non-deal roadshow in order to create the right awareness for the company into the United States. We look forward to discuss with you, and if you have any question, to address those questions directly to us or to HCW, which is one of the banks that we are working here in the United States. Thank you very much for your attention.